Hi there, Jamie from the JMT Mind Gym. I hope you're keeping very well. Little video today, a quick video on the saying, you cannot pour from an empty cup. Now I've got a deeper question with this, and I think it's a deeper conversation. Why is your cup empty in the first place? And think about that for a second. If you find yourself getting to a state or getting to a place where you feel like you've got nothing left, the cup is absolutely bone dry. You've given, and you've got nothing else left to give. And like I said, the deeper conversation is, why is that cup empty in the first place? And I think ultimately it starts with the fact that a lot of the time we aren't living by our unique values. We aren't living authentically. We are either one, living by somebody else's values, two, subordinating to, which is a very strong word, but subordinating to someone else whose priorities and values are more important than ours. Now, sometimes that can be our partners, sometimes that can be our bosses, sometimes that can be our children. But if we are constantly emptying our cup and giving to others, it leaves us nothing for ourselves. And ironically, we end up, if we follow this pathway and we follow this behavior, we eventually will land on resentment, which will then perpetuate to blame, and it doesn't end well. So the deeper conversation is, why is the cup empty in the first place? And you can ask yourself, what's actually emptying my cup? Is it overthinking? Is it doing too much for others? Is it subordinating? Is it doing things that aren't high on our values? That's not high on our importance list or our priority? What's chewing up our energy? Because in my line of work, working with business owners, athletes, leaders, managers, I see it all the time. We see work, a massive investment on work, and quite often people are doing vocations that they don't even value, they don't appreciate, they procrastinate going to work, they hesitate about things at work, they get frustrated about work, and eventually that leads to some form of burnout or dissatisfaction, fatigue, and it follows a bit of a continuum. It's like work, burnout, recover, rest, work, burnout, recover, rest, where I see some people, living their life by design, not by default, living, working, being of service to others, being remunerated for what they value, working within their values with it, and end up with an enormous amount of intrinsic motivation. So they're motivated from within, they're driven because they're doing what's important, what's a high priority, what's right up there on their values. And so the continuum's kind of the same. If we've got empty cup, status quo individuals, we've got work, burnout, recover, rest, work, burnout, recover, rest. Individuals that are aware of their highest values, what's important, what's priority, they're being of service to others. And it doesn't matter whether you're a doctor working at Bunnings, you're a school teacher, you're a panel beater. If that's what you value and that's what is important, you're going to have high value. You're going to have intrinsic motivation because you love what you do. It's important and it's a priority. And then you're going to have a feeling of fulfillment. Back to the start. High value. This is important, intrinsic motivation, and then we're going to have fulfillment. And that's the continuum. And so when we think about, I can't pour from an empty cup, what the fuck emptied the cup in the first place? And this is really, really important. And I believe that this is the most important question in relation to this saying. People talk about me time. I need more me time. I need to love myself more. I need to develop. I need more self-confidence. I need more time by myself. Well, let me be the first one to tell you one of the most important things you can possibly do is find out what are your highest values. What is the most important thing in your life? What is the highest priority? Aristotle, nearly 3,000 years ago, believed that all living creatures had a telos. And this is where the study of teleology comes from. And the telos, by definition, means the end in mind, the higher purpose, the higher meaning. And I think that's really poignant here. We all have a telos. A puppy dog's telos is to grow into a dog. An acorn's telos is to grow into a tree. We as human beings, we all have a telos. We have a higher purpose, a higher meaning, and a lot of that is heavily correlated to our values. And as I mentioned before, if you can find out what your values are and be of service to others, work in your highest values best you can, you go to work each day like you're going on an international holiday with a fucking spring in your step. And these are the people that just for some reason have this abundant energy. The cup is always full. And other people observe going, how do they do it? How does old mate work 60 to 80 hours a week and still have all this energy and spring in their step? And the answer is they are living a life of meaning, of higher purpose, of higher meaning. They're not just working to burn out, recover, rest, and get back to the start. They're not giving from an empty cup because they know what's important, what's a priority, what's filling the cup. And when the cup is full, what spilleth over is for everybody else. What's in the cup is yours. What spills over is from everybody else. And we can't even make consideration from pouring from that cup until it's full. And the most efficient, effective, and swift way to fill that cup is live a life in alignment with your highest values, with what's most important. If you want to love yourself more, if you want a greater level of self-concept, value yourself more, respect yourself more, have more self-belief and self-confidence, start living life in accordance, in congruence with your highest values. That is the greatest demonstration of consideration, energy, attention, love, and respect for self, is to honor your values. Because if you don't, you will embody somebody else's values. You'll subordinate to others at the cost, at the expense of self. Then potentially become resentful, then that's going to lead to blame and ultimately landing you with a victimized mindset. But you can pull the brake on all of this. You can fill your cup by understanding what is most important to you, what is your highest priority, what are the standards that you live by. And I'm going to put in the description of this video how to find out what are your top 3 values. You can go through Dr. John Demartini's value determination process. You can watch my YouTube video, and this is a really important step and practical, applicable tool or direction to go in to understanding how do we truly fill our cup. And this is the deeper conversation, so we don't find ourselves with a bone dry, empty cup. So 2 questions. What actually fills your cup? Think about that. And what takes from it? What drains it? What bleeds your cup of all that beautiful English breakfast tea that you have in there that is uniquely related to you? These are the questions that we ask. So it's not why is my cup empty? It's like, how the fuck did I allow it to become empty in the first place? Go to the description, jump on the values video, and find out for yourself how you can start topping that cup up. Have a great day.